Good mythical morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host, Saint, and I'm joined by my amazing chat in the top right corner. And we've got ourselves quite a situation on our hands today, featuring none other than a talent agency that appears to be a bit underwater due to some ongoing controversy. And that's going to be none other than Mythic Talent over here. We're hearing a lot of news about certain creators, certain personalities like Asmon Gold as well as Nicholas Light, who have had some issues with some of their professional relationships with the company and have actually been dropped. And so I think that this is going to be an awesome opportunity for me to investigate what's going on as somebody who's been, keeping up with the issue over the past couple of days, and also an opportunity for me to see some potential debts repaid in the space. Because, of course, Mythic is a talent agency where some of their creators have been allowed to say some very, 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 interesting things about me. And it just so turns out that, well, there are some creators getting dropped for their behavior. I want to see how it compares to the actions of other creators under Mythic. You're going to have Mr. Pokey over here, who basically just made these thumbnails about me, and I guess he faced absolutely no consequence at all. So we got to see firsthand what's allowed, what isn't, and who's actually in the wrong when it comes to this entire situation. So the biggest piece of news that I think kind of broke a hole in this dam and is causing everything to go crazy was this announcement over here. We have spoken with Asmon Gold and mutually agreed to part ways. Mythic represents creators from a wide range of backgrounds and perspectives, and we are committed to fostering an environment grounded in respect and responsibility. I guess thumbnails like this are respectful and responsible. Their words, not mine. We remain focused on supporting our creators and continuing our mission to help them build sustainable, long-term careers. And so this is definitely an announcement, right? That definitely shook the entire content creation space, because as we all know, Mythic Talent was actually an agency that was co-founded by Asmon Gold themselves way back. You see, this article is from 2023, and it's been something where, he's been, I assume, one of the most active investors, well, throughout 2-3+ years. This organization has been alive. And so with that in mind, there is some potential misinformation that we want to get handled right off of the bat. I do believe that Asmongold is actively presented by, when it comes to certain brand deals and stuff like that, I'm sure he's actually presented by represented by Knight Media. So I'm not necessarily sure if this is more of just an optics thing to, I don't know, address the fact that Caseytron is out here essentially putting a target on both the back of Mythic Talent creators and then also their brands, and they're just trying to go ahead, right, and, well, separate the sort of connection while these attacks are ongoing. That's something that could be an explanation for it, and it's pretty clear that Caseytron herself has decided, hey, I'm gonna take some credit for this one. They knew my ass wasn't gonna let up. Nail painting emoji. But in all seriousness, that man should not be representing anyone. Do you think she wrote this tweet in between bong rips? I don't know. I think that might have been, yeah, I don't know. How many bong rips do you think were involved in the creation of this tweet? I don't particularly know. I think at least 3 or 4. Maybe a couple of celebratory joints as well. But that's the ongoing situation when it comes to Asmongold. And this is a controversy that's occurring right off of the back of a reveal from Mythic Talent themselves that they've investigated an issue with them skimming payments and or outright scamming their talent. Mythic is aware of public statements made by a former talent, Grimmy, regarding payment discrepancies. We take her allegations seriously and have conducted a thorough review of our records. Let's just go ahead and take a look at the timing real fast. This was 11:55. March 7, 2026, about 8 hours after they made this tweet separating themselves from Asmongold. So I do think it's a rather interesting timing for them to go for the Asmongold play first, and then start investigating these other issues after that, because, well, here, all we see are the details from Mythic, but here, we actually get to see, 1 day ago, right, the actual allegations. And I'm not going to read into these too much, because essentially it's just talking about the fact that a 5% difference over here of an original 2100 was taken off, about 100 from there. And then after Grimmy had a conversation with Mythic saying that they found out from the publisher what the total amount was, she was apparently given the additional 100 that, well, she didn't actually receive. So this is kind of like how it works, right? Imagine you're like buying groceries for somebody in your house, and you just open the bag, you just open the jar of peanut butter a little bit, right? And you just skim a little bit off the top, and then you kind of like smooth it out. It doesn't look like anything was taken. That appears to be what Mythic is getting accused of over here, and it is quite interesting, right? From the reveal right here, that they gave back the money that was apparently skimmed after she reached out to A, the publisher first, and then B, Mythic Talent afterwards. You know, making sure that she had her proof and everything. Well done by her, but it's also very interesting that that's something she had to do in the first place. And apparently, there was a second situation as well. Except this time, she didn't get the money back. There was just an additional fee because of an outside marketing agency. Weird. And the key things are, Mythic refuses to show her the actual negotiation documents between Mythic and the publishers after requested, only the contract that was signed, and she apparently has many more examples of this behavior, and I believe from multiple publishers. But this was the only publisher that gave her permission to show evidence on stream and publicize it. These aren't the only incidents. And this is where stuff starts getting a little bit suspicious, right? Because you have this damage control tweet by Mythic over here. Clearly damage control. But we got Sheaf GG, another, I believe, former Mythic Talent. I had a similar experience with Mythic. Straight up lied to about what the sponsor was offering, and it took me talking to the sponsor themselves to find out. Not surprised to see this. And they're saying that, like, their team that handles these negotiations, they're like used car salesmen. They're former used car salesmen, 100%. That's not looking particularly good. I imagine there's potentially going to be a lot more creators. There's potentially going to be a lot more creators that come out with similar accusations like this. That's a lot of drama. That's a lot of drama for a talent agency where all you're supposed to be doing is just managing deals between creators and sponsors. But that's a lot of shit they've managed to get themselves up to in the last 48 hours. I think that's fair to say. But it also turns out, guys, that's not it. There's more. While on vacation for my 1-year anniversary with my wife, we've got Nicholas Light over here. Mythic Talent, my talent agency, has parted ways with me as well. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, while Nicholas Light, a very, very, very popular creator, right, with a ton of subscribers on YouTube, hundreds of K worth of views on his videos, and of course, a regular CCV of about 2,000 on his live streams, he was dropped by Mythic Talent too. If you watch my content, I barely had sponsors over the past few years, so this isn't really much of a difference, but I find the timing of this to be hilarious. And from his take over here, they only want to work with liberals and creators with safe opinions now, and I don't want to be associated with people that bend the knee. It isn't a loss for me, it's a win. And so this is the situation, right? There seems to be a bit of a public opinion right now that Mythic is trying to be a lot more brand friendly, is trying to be a lot more PC, despite the fact that Mythic has essentially been known for in the past of being like that organization for controversial creators that are going to say controversial things. And I do find it interesting that we're seeing so many creators dropped for levels of controversy, right? When this is something that apparently Mythic signed off on. Yes, Mr. Pokey, when he made these thumbnails, apparently he had communicated with Mythic Talent beforehand and got their approval to release content like this. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we've got the proof of that. Content where he's making a guide on me and my kit, right? And my kit involves blackmail. That's my artifact, my equipment set. My light cone is, doing something in Minecraft. That's my light cone. And then my weapon. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, that is Blazing Justice, Zani's signature weapon in Wuthering Waves. My weapon is, maybe he's saying rate. Yeah, maybe he's saying rate. Yeah, maybe that's not supposed to be a P. That's actually supposed to be a T, but I wonder why he censored it, right? That's my light cone. And he made multiple versions of it, right? Yeah, except this one, it says, well, the accusations here are racist, blackmail, Minecraft, homophobic, and, of course, that big one. In the biggest lettering possible. And so you might be saying, there's no way that Mythic Talent, right, an organization that's so up front and center about being righteous, right, about being on the front lines and dropping controversial creators who say bad things like Nicholas Light, there's no way that Mythic Talent would approve of this shit, right? Oh, wait, but we got a clip. Yeah, we got a segment over here. Let's listen to what Mr. Pokey had to say regarding one of my tweets where I wanted to publicize the actions he was taking, right? The thumbnails he was making. There's actually a third one over here. Yeah, I didn't even show that one, but that's another bonus that he has. Mythic Talent are thumbnails like these about other creators without any proof or evidence, accusing them of horrific crimes, all to cover up for their own wrongdoings. Is that something you support from your affiliated creators? And we've got confirmation from Pokey. Yeah, that is allowed. So let's listen to this, boys.
Do you think, Sandones, that before I started this campaign that has been in the preparation for, I don't know, God knows how long, do you think I would not have told Mythic Talent?
So he's admitting over here he communicated with Mythic Talent about what he was going to do. Yeah. He just admitted to it.
That, hey, there's gonna be this schizo guy coming in very soon.
Uh-huh.
I don't know. I wonder what it could possibly be. Keep a lookout.
So me saying that I don't think thumbnails like this are particularly that good, that must make me the schizo. Yeah, guys, I guess this is the take, right? If you're not comfortable with thumbnails like this being made about you with absolutely no proof or evidence that you've done these things, you're the schizo.
Do you think my talent agency would be like, oh yeah, we know. They know about your ass, and
So you're saying that you're basically now saying, Mr. Pokey, Mythic knew everything about me and everything that you were doing and signed off on this. That's what I would assume from that clip that you decided to, well, that's the clip that we have, right? It sounds like that's exactly what you're saying.
They literally know who you are, which is shocking, by the way.
Uh-huh.
My talent agency literally knows this guy.
Yeah, they do. And do they know what you're saying about me with no proof or evidence? So you've just admitted Mythic Talent, again, knew everything you were doing and approved of this. That's rough. And I'm going to be honest, it's rough for info like this to come out when Mythic's already in so much shit right now, right? Yeah, it's a little bit rough for stuff like this to come out. Now we have knowledge that Mythic gave you permission to make those thumbnails about me. Or at least, that's the natural implication that a lot of people are going to get from this segment over here.
So, I would believe, Mr. Sandones, you can try, right? You can try the brigade. You can try to cry, right? Make a public video, right? Make a public, ooh, cancel Mr. Bogey on this tab.
Obviously. Mr. Pokey could just be lying here. Mr. Pokey could just be making stuff up. But I'm gonna be real. That doesn't make Mythic look particularly good, right? That doesn't make Mythic look particularly that good at all. Especially when you see all of the stuff that they're currently up to and the fire that they're under right now. But there's more. There's more. We've got a segment here from Nicholas Light's video regarding his dropping for Mythic Talent that I wanted to share as well to give us a little bit more insight as to how they've been treating certain creators. Let's go ahead. Let's hear this out.
I'm going to be loaded with sponsors. Everybody's going to want to work with Nicholas Light. It turns out nobody wanted to work with Nicholas Light. Or at least that's what I thought. Because
it just so turns out that Nick might have been ostracized by Mythic while he was signed with them. And they just decided, even though he was getting sponsor offers, they just wouldn't communicate them over to him and they wouldn't further engage with them.
I had a phone call with Mythic a few days ago and I was dropped. Apparently nobody wants to work with me because of my drama, because of my controversy, and because I say slurs, because I say retard, and I called somebody a Oh, so that's why I haven't gotten sponsors in the past 60 days. But here's the funny part, guys.
And this is where it gets really bad, right? Because at first glance, what you're hearing sort of does make sense, right? Like the brands don't want to work with the PR risk. But then listen to this.
My personal email, I was getting sponsors maybe 3-4 times a week from actual sponsorships. So is it the sponsors that don't want to work with me? Or is it that you, Mythic Talent, don't want to work with me?
And that's what it seems like. It seems like Mythic Talent was getting the sponsored offers and was simply not engaging with them further because it was Nicholas Light.
Because I'm talking with the sponsors. I'm getting myself sponsorships. I was flown out to Anime Expo in LA last year to cover a Gotcha Akuta Tokyo Ghoul booth. I got that for myself. They gave me over $10,000 to go on that trip. Mythic Talent wasn't involved at all. So why is it that I could get the cool, fun sponsorships that I'm told nobody wants to work with me on, but they couldn't get it for me? It's always, oh, there was no response, or I get no response from Mythic about it. Something's a little fishy here, and it ain't sushi because I'm in Japan.
Remember, they dropped Nick in the middle of his anniversary. And I'm pretty sure he said that they knew he was on his anniversary. And so, guys, this is the reality over here. I guess Nick got dropped for saying a no-no word, right? That's essentially the reasoning that we're getting. Nick is getting dropped for having controversial opinions and saying certain no-no words. But I guess false accusations in your thumbnails are 100% okay. Yeah, I guess this that's just okay. I guess this is what Mythic finds acceptable. This is what Mythic allows their content creators to do. But whatever Nick was doing, whatever Asmon Gold was doing, none of that stuff is okay. But this is. It's kind of crazy, right? I made this tweet on February 11th. It's March 8th right now. Who thought that we'd be able to revisit this in such a spectacular manner? And who thought that Mr. Pokey's own words regarding this incident would only further incriminate Mythic even more when they're already in so much shit? Not looking very good, is it? That's looking a bit rough, isn't it? Because I'm of this take, right? I'm not necessarily for the support of people getting dropped like this. But if people are going to get dropped like this, I want to see people getting dropped for shit like this. If they're going to drop him for whatever went on around here, I want to see people getting dropped for stuff like this. Otherwise, Mythic Talent might be some of the biggest goddamn hypocrites we've ever seen in the talent agency management space before. But hey, right? Is it that surprising at all that the talent agency of one of the biggest hypocrites in the space is also extremely hypocritical as well? Fork found in kitchen, as they do say, right, ladies and gentlemen? Fork found in kitchen. Remember that this is what Mythic approved of, at least according to the words of Mr. Pokey. They signed off on this. They knew in advance that this was happening. And those are Mr. Pokey's own words himself. That's a bit rough, isn't it? That's not a good look, is it? Yeah.
These motherfuckers. Oh, and by the way, they knew I was on my anniversary trip. This all happened within the same week of my anniversary trip. The agency that puts their creators first. The agency that looked like they would help people out that don't bend the knee, that don't cater to the mob and actually have a voice. But now it seems like anybody that has a voice, they don't want to work with. We have spoken with Asmongold and
so that's just him covering the Asmongold stuff. I just wanted to play that short segment from the video, and there you'll also get the confirmation that they dropped him while he was on vacation. And so, it's kind of wild that all of this is coming to a head like this. And naturally, some may view me as opportunistic when it comes to addressing this issue that I have with Mr. Pokey and his past thumbnails only after news like this has occurred. But the reality is that I have personally viewed Mythic Talent as one of the most spineless agencies on the planet due to their inaction in this circumstance over here. And I have yearned for the opportunity to hold this group of, I'm just going to be honest, fucking clowns from what I'm seeing over here responsible. Because they seem to be under this impression that they can just, I don't know, blame everything on the creators at this point. Blame everybody who they've signed, excise them, and then apparently get away with everything scot-free. My take is going to be this. I don't think it's going to be that easy for this organization, especially after the news regarding how you approved of this, either implicitly or explicitly, who knows, and the creator involved is suffering no consequences at all. And after hearing that you've been apparently restricting sponsors, hurting the income of creators just because maybe somebody on your team doesn't like them, and then you're allowing shit like this, well, maybe the take used car salesman 100%, Maybe that's not very inaccurate at all. So yeah, we'll see what actions Mythic decides to take in the future. We'll see what type of response this organization is going to have. Now that they're actually in some hot water and they might potentially be held accountable for the first time in their operational business, we'll just have to see though. Because right now, this looks really bad. This looks really bad. This looks really bad. But maybe they don't care. Oh, wait. They do because they got bullied by fucking Caseytron. Yeah, maybe they do because they clearly, evidently, managed to get bullied by Caseytron, of all people. This was a literal side quest that she went on in between bong rips, and you catered to this. That's one of the most pathetic things I think I've ever fucking seen. And you should be made the laughingstocks of the space. You got mogged by Caseytron. How? That's so pathetic, it's unbelievable. And as a bit of a bonus, Mythic Talent has also been under fire for a previous controversy that they had about 2 months ago, where apparently they convinced their talents, probably due to the fact that, once again, the used car salesman allegations, they were pushing their talents to advertise like a scam website. I'm not entirely sure if that's factually completely 100% accurate, but yeah, apparently all the shit regarding it was like erased, so I do have to imagine that there was something a little bit stinky going on over here. Ironic how getting dropped by Mythic might be the best thing that's happened to certain content creators. Yeah, right? Like, it's just ironic. Getting dropped by Mythic might actually have been a good thing, because I wouldn't want to be associated with a public brand that's just been doing stuff that looks this shady and is trying to cover the tracks. Let's be real here. Do you want to be represented by these guys? Probably not, man. So like I said before, you should be the laughingstocks of the space for quite a while moving on from here. This is pathetic. Let me know what you all thought. Peace out.